Hey everybody, welcome back again. I'm Tiara.
And I am Adrian.
And welcome back to our weekly Good Thing Chats.
Marriage chats, y'all.
So we're excited because it's our first official week, and we really want to talk about how one of the main goals or things that we're pursuing or trying to defeat is divorce, right? That's the end result of an unsuccessful marriage. And so we're going to be digging deep into some topics that would help us to overcome how to get away, how to put in with all your might.
Yeah.
With however many tears there is, how much prayer it takes, how many communications, how many counseling sessions, whatever it takes, do the work.
Yes. So tonight's topic is, drumroll, we're talking about finances in our relationships and our marriages. Y'all, financial issues, that is a big issue that a lot of marriages see. It's hard when you don't have money, and it can be hard when you do have money. Apparently, according to Forbes Advisor, as couples' incomes increase, divorce rates tend to decrease. But they also mentioned that once you hit about $600K a year, then the divorce rates start climbing back up to about 30%. I mean, that's not as high as they usually are at the 47, 50 going over percent. But we want to make sure that we don't divorce.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this money.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you guys, I know for me, like I shared with you guys, my husband and I have been married for coming up on 19 years, and we've seen it all. We've had a matter of job losses, we've had hardships, bills, unexpected things, hospital visits, surgery, you name it. There's always going to be something. Yeah. Life is always going to life. And it's not, of course, a lot of it is about putting in the fight, putting in the work, communicating with one another. But it's also about having backup plans, making sure that you guys are coming up with solutions, talking about those solutions, and knowing what to do. And I'm not going to say you know what to do every single time, right? Because obviously, of course, if this is your first marriage, you know, especially if you marry young, there's going to be things you just didn't know.
Right.
You know, coming up as a child, there wasn't a lot of talk with me as far as how to deal with money, saving money, credit score. I mean, there's a lot of things. And so, of course, as we learn things, we learn how we can input those into our children and how we can help them develop and have those good patterns to be healthy in all areas. But the fact of the matter is you're just not going to know everything. And so it's a matter of having the right resources and learning and being patient with one another and finding the right resources.
Right. But also making sure that you all have those conversations with each other to make sure that both are on the same page when it comes to your finances or just those changes that may be coming up. Make sure that you have those discussions with your partner. Family life changes. You start having children, and that could also change the dynamics of, you know, who's working, who's staying at home. Are we both working? Child care expenses. Those things come into play. So before we start breaking more things down, we want to make sure that you all like, comment, subscribe, and join the discussion. Let us know what you all think about marriage and finances and how you all discuss with your partners on how money works in your household.
And I want to mention, too, you know, we were just discussing the statistic that's talking about an income of $600,000. I know most of us on this call is not making that kind of money, so I don't want y'all to get it twisted. We know we're not making that, and we don't know very many people who are. So, you know, if they're just talking about that, just imagine for those who are making. I remember when me and my husband first started out, I was making like $6 something an hour. Okay, I ended up having to leave that job, get another job, just to even get benefits. I don't think I had benefits at the time. So I remember getting those taxes done and us making combined under $50,000 a year. Yeah. I mean, it was tough. It was hard. We were in there together, and I think that sometimes is some of the things that help you guys become stronger, because now we can look back and be like, man, we was really only making $40,000, $50,000, and we were able to get through it. Yeah, sure, we had Goodwill furniture or furniture was passed over down to us, or whatever the case. So those things can really make you stronger.
Right.
Again, like Adrian said, as long as you all are communicating and in for the long haul. I know some people, there's like this topic of conversation about, well, as long as you got love, making it seem like that love is sufficient. And don't get me wrong, love is good. And I just had this conversation with one of our friends, because she's single right now and she's dating and things like that. And so she was kind of asking me my opinion about love. And I said, well, look, this is how I look at it. You do need love, and you're not going to learn every single thing about this person before y'all get married. You want to learn a lot. Trust me. You want to learn enough about their character, who they are. You want to learn about their spending habits. You want to learn about their debt. You want to learn about their, are they a budgeter, or are they a saver? Have those conversations ahead of time so you know who each other are.
Right. And
like, hey, my strength already. I'm a spender. Okay, well, my strength. Right. I'm a saver, right. But the love part for me comes in as far as knowing, like, no matter what, I got you.
Right.
And I'm going to continue learning you, and you're going to continue learning me. Right. And we vow with each other to work through these things no matter what. And that means both of them being willing to have the conversations, to communicate, and do the work.
Right.
Let's talk about it. We broke it down to, like, some of the issues and then some of the resolutions. So, joint and individual accounts. Mm-hmm. Individual accounts. What's your thoughts on that?
My husband and I were just having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's important for us to have a joint account, but then also have those individual accounts. But just because we have those individual accounts doesn't mean that we hide spending habits or anything like that from us or from each other. It's more so like, okay, our account together, we're paying bills out of that one. We're, paying maybe for a vacation. But then we also, within our individual accounts, we have broken down other accounts that are within those accounts to pay for things like vacation or birthday parties for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay to have both a joint account and an individual account, just for the sake of, you're still working together, but if you want to, I kind of feel, if I want to go purchase feminine products, I'm like, babe, can I use your money for those feminine products? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I know I've talked to a few people. I was even talking to some work people about this a little while ago, that somebody was like, oh, well, we've got it all set up. We do have a joint account, and I did like the idea, but I was like, that just sounded like too much work. They got a joint account, but then they have multiple separate accounts for separate things. They got an account just for the mortgage. They got an account for the credit cards. They got an account. And I was like, that sound good, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
For me, personally, it's a lot. Because with us, we have a joint account also. Mm-hmm. And now I do have a separate savings account. Now, I don't know about you guys, and this is probably, something that happens more in the African-American community, but I was kind of raised with some women feeling like they always need to have a separate hidden account, okay? And it was because they were like, oh, you need a backup plan just in case something don't go right or whatever. And my mindset was never there. I was like, okay, I can have a separate account, but my husband gonna know about it. Now, I don't need to report to him and tell him how much I'm putting in there or whatever, but we do an allotted budget, an allowance. He's not always a fan. I'm not gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. But I'm like, look, I'm trying to help us out by keeping us on task. I'm very transparent. I'm like, okay, here, this how much we got paid. Here's the total amount. Let me budget this out. I'm gonna plan out all the bills. And then when I get done planning it out, I send him a text. And I say, here it is. Do you got any discrepancies? Do you see anything I haven't accounted for? Do you see anything missing? Is there something we need to get that I didn't know about? And that gives him the opportunity to say, well, hey, honey, I really needed to get something fixed on this or do this or whatever. Because with stuff like that, we try to have it come out of our regular money.
Right.
But we also have like an allotted spending allowance, if you will. That we're like, okay, well, here's your amount, here's my amount, which is the same, and spend the money that we get on our own. And I just move mine to my savings.
Yeah.
And then if I want to spend out of it, I spend out of it. Yeah. It's on an account.
And that also covers the spender versus the saver. So in a situation like that, if you do have someone that is a spender, that allotted amount of money, that helps them still be able to get the satisfaction of being able to spend.
Right.
It might not be a crazy amount as they may want to spend.
Right.
But it's something so that they can still have that freedom to go out and spend. And then the saver side, that partner still gets a chance to be, okay, let me make sure I save for this. Because ultimately, if you're saving, if you guys are saving together, or just if you're a saver in general, you're probably saving for the household.
Right.
You're saving for the whole. So, discussing those accounts and discussing, okay, are you a saver? Are you a spender? That, like, all of that starts coming on down to budget and planning.
And I'll say in the beginning, like, I would tell anybody in a heartbeat, you definitely need to have marriage counseling in the beginning. Let me say that first, okay? Don't let nobody talk you out of it, courthouse or not. However way y'all decide to get married, go to Vegas, whoever.
Right.
You still need to be in somebody's chair. And you still need to make sure that it's still a good counselor.
Yeah.
Okay? Because my marriage counseling, no offense, was very mediocre. There was a lot of things that could have been talked about, covered, that were not, that we had to learn some hard lessons along the way. I found out real quick, even though I wasn't even making that much money, I found out real quick that my husband is a spender. Okay? And don't get me wrong, I like to splurge on things every once in a while. But at the beginning of our marriage, when we still had CDs and DVDs and people burning them and all that, he was buying them every week. Yeah. And I'm just like, honey, we don't need that. Do you it used to irk me, y'all. And so I was just like, okay, that's when I got to a point like, okay, we need to figure out an allowance here. We need to figure out a set amount, like, okay, get your cigarettes, get your whatever, and that's the amount you spend. If that's what you choose, that's what you choose to spend your money on, right? But yes, you need to find out early. Those are conversations you need to have up front. Yeah. And I have also heard conversations with people who free nilly-willy spend and don't budget plan. I just don't understand how somebody can't plan. Yeah. Because I, for one, don't want to be left with $8 from Tuesday to Friday.
That's so, okay. So my husband is not a spender. He's not a spender at all. But he is also not a saver. So he grew up, he was taught, you pay all your bills. If you want something, you got the money, just go ahead and get it. So I guess that makes him a spender, but as we've gotten older, he's very, like, frugal. But I had to, change his, mindset, especially when we were first married. We didn't have any children. But when we were first married, it was a financial struggle. Because it was like, oh, I got $500 and our bills are $450, so I'm gonna pay all the bills. And it's like, dude, we got
what, 50 left?
Right, we got 50. You ain't even give us no stretch or nothing. We about to eat air. Right. We about to eat air. Oh, and the way that our relationship has worked has always been, my husband has been the worker. He's been the one to go to work and provide. It wasn't that I didn't have jobs, I worked as well. Yeah. But there were always more times on my side where I would be like, okay, I think I want to go back to school and finish my degree. So, and I would work part-time. So he would be the one with the main income, and then I would have the income where I'm like, okay, we want to go somewhere. I'm about to throw all my money into a savings account. We're about to plan for this trip. When I graduated college and then we got our first apartment and I was working full time, I was the one that was like, okay, I'm bringing in this much, you're bringing in this much. Let's look at the papers. I'm about to write down how much our bills are, how much our debt is, how much everything is. I would make plans if we had, because a lot of people, that was another statistic that we saw, nearly 2/3 of all marriages start off in debt. So that's one thing that you all have to discuss. And then if you're planning on, you know, paying that debt off, how are you planning on? Are you planning on nickel and diming? Are you planning on aggressively paying the debt off? We had a discussion when it came to our debt. I was like, okay, we got these credit cards. It's $900. You get paid one week. I get paid the next week. We about to just throw money. I was like, we're going to pay this thing off in 2.5 months. I would crunch those numbers because I'm like, we're trying to get the debt paid off. We're trying to have more room and more money to save. We're trying to, you know, be able to go and experience life. So we wanted to make sure that we, you know, had those conversations. But I also had to make sure that, you know, my husband got out of well, I could just pay all of this and it will be cool for 2 weeks. It was like, brother, for the love of the Lord, please stop leaving us to just $2. Stop leaving us. So as we've gotten older and we've been married, you know, the longer we've been married, I've been the one to, okay, we get the check. Let me allocate how it is. Since now our lives have changed. We now have children. I decided to leave the traditional 9 to 5 and do more things on the side to make a little side money to, you know, supplement, you know, what his check brings in. One that helps us, you know, save money from childcare. Childcare is expensive. It is expensive. So, you know, they helped us save on childcare. But because, you know, we're down to the 1.5 income with mine, I sit down and I break down that thing. Okay, the bills are due this month. This is what we're paying for. This is what we're investing in. The kids, because we make sure that the kids also have retirement accounts, even though they're 7 and 4. Yeah. We make sure they have their savings stacked as well as ours. So we're really trying to just make sure that we're prepping and keeping ourselves in a good position. Yeah. So that if something happened, we're not like, right, dang, who am I about to get killed off so we can get this life insurance money and so we could go ahead and live. Right. Well, and you don't want to live in the Hunger Games. Yeah. I mean, we've had scenarios earlier on when, I'm sure I'm not alone, we were stuck in payday loans for a while. Mm-hmm. We did payday loans, and I remember how like jammed I felt. Mm-hmm. That I'm like, I've got to get out of this. I cannot keep paying these people a 300% interest rate. That's what it felt like. It was terrible. I could never get out of it. And I made my mind, once I do this, I'm never doing this again. Right. I don't want to be in this position anymore. And, you know, with budget planning, you know, I'm going to actually share the link below to an Excel worksheet that I use that really felt like it helped me break down some things. Because when I plan out our budget, I plan out budgeting like down to, okay, this a month for household, gas, groceries, the credit card bills, the dog food. Oh, such got doctor's appointment this week. Cool, I'm gonna have to pay the copay. Like, break it down as much as you can. The spending allowance, all of that. Yeah. And another thing I did at one point, which we haven't really been staying on top of lately, but at first my husband actually came up with the idea. We made this board and we had it in the room posted about what bills were needed mainly be paid on the first pay week and then the one for the second pay week. Yeah. But we also had up the things that we knew we needed to pay off. Yep. And so, because what happened is some people just leave it to the wayside, don't ever address it, and end up being this molehill, what they say, mountain out of molehill, that comes up later. Right, that comes up later because now, you know, you're receiving a letter in the mail, or you got somewhere you got to figure this out, or pull some out your 401k or whatever, trying to figure it out. So we were looking ahead of, okay, like Adrian was saying, these are the things we got to take care of. We got to figure out a plan. But I think it's just as important to come up with the good things. Yep. Less, you know, we want to plan a trip. We want to get a car, brand new car. We want to plan a vacation or whatever the thing. Come up with the good things. So I seen this other statistic on the same page that said 94% of respondents who say they have a great marriage discuss their money dreams with their spouse, compared to only 45% of respondents who say their marriage is okay or in crisis. 87% of respondents who say their marriage is great also say that they and their spouse work together to set long-term goals for their money. So you want to talk about the short-term, the right now, the everyday bills, but you want to have stuff to look forward to. Something good, something fun, something enjoyable, so that it doesn't always seem about bills. Right. You know, and so sometimes it makes it a little easier for my husband
when I'm saving money, like, okay, honey, so we was talking about going on that trip.
Right.
So that means I need to put a little
right.
extra to the side because I'm not getting stuck again in this whole credit card thing of putting everything on a credit card.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get me wrong, credit card has its place. But if you depend on it, if you start using like regular money and put every trip on it, it just keeps adding up and adding up, and you're paying all this interest that you're trying to get past.
Yeah.
So I've been working for us to try to get away from that.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the last issues that we're going to cover is financial abuse and power. So I know we discussed like the joint and individual accounts. There are certain situations, such as an abusive one, where you may want to, if you're planning on skedaddling, you want to have some money to the side. So we're not saying that, you know, we're not advocating that you just don't have no money individually.
Yeah.
Those type of things do come up. You do have a partner that might make the most money and they're like, oh, well, I make the $600,000 and you make nothing. So I get to make all of the decisions on how we're spending our money and how you're spending our money and how the house is going to get some of this money. A lot of people do that just to take control of the other person, and that's not right.
Yeah. And some of that probably stems from the person's values and how they were raised. Yeah. You know, so that's another thing talking about from the beginning. You want to learn about that person's family. Okay, you want to, if the parents are around, you still want to talk to the parents. You want to dig in. Those are the things that are dug up in counseling. Mm-hmm. Finding out, you want to know their mindset, their values, how they raised, what they think about money, how their parents raised them on money, what did they see? Because a person can say something or even think a certain way until a certain issue arises and it's not what you thought they would say. Right. You know, that's not how they thought they would think. Well, this is how my daddy raised me.
Right.
This is how my mom always did it.
What?
Yeah. So if you have like the situation where she said, in a situation where the male was very dominant, like, I run this, I'm this and that, I'm bringing home the bacon, so I get to decide. Okay, that, you know. So now you're seeing that, so you got, I don't want to say red flags, but you got to figure out what that person's mindset is. Because I'm not saying it's automatic that if the daddy is like that the son going to be like that, or if the mama's like that, the daughter's going to be like that. But you need to know what they think about it. You need to know if they agree. And I had a conversation with a friend too last week where we were talking about what you've seen from your parents versus what you do now. And you may make up in your mind that you don't want to do that. But that don't mean you're not going to act up off that automatically because that's what you've been seeing.
Yeah.
And so again, I know y'all gonna hear me say counseling till I'm blue in the face, but that's another thing to get out and talk about in counseling, because if you've seen something and you know you don't want it, you have to be stretched, trained to do different.
Right.
They're not going to automatically know how to do it different just because you don't want it. That's not going to show you. Right. You've been accustomed to, you've been trained to see this.
Right.
But I want to go here. How do I get there?
Right. So we also brought some resolutions to the table on how you and your spouse could talk about these just finances in your relationship to help you continue on with a healthier, stronger marriage or just relationship, so that there are no issues, any of those issues that we talked about. So as Tiara said, talk about them finances with each other.
Yeah.
As well as sit with a counselor. There are financial advisors, there are financial counselors, there are a bunch of different resources that could help you have those type of discussions and conversations. You all should come together and work together on, okay, well, if this worked for you in the past and this didn't work for me in the past, let's see how we can come together and see if it could work for the both of us, or, dismiss it altogether.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to talk about your finances and be transparent. Also, if you have gambling issues, like, you want to talk about that and see, what will be some solutions? How can we get you some help to stop with the gambling or stop with doing whatever it is that's creating the financial issue? It's like, how can we come together and talk about it so that you all can help each other overcome that, and then your finances could be better.
Yeah.
I also mentioned a financial advisor. Financial advisors are there not just to help with retirement. Financial advisors can help you figure out a great plan to allocating monies for short-term and long-term when it comes to your money. You all together want to make sure that you all can grow old together and have fun with your money. Yeah. I know we see a lot of our grandparents who have retired and they didn't have that discussion on financial advising. They just, I got a guy and he
gonna take care of you.
He gonna take care of us, ain't he? And then something happened and you call the guy that's gonna take care of it, and they're like, we have nothing for you. We're so sorry. That happened, in my family, personally. But, make sure that you all seek and find a great financial advisor that can help you all set up retirement accounts, set up investments if you all want to get into investments, set up things for your children's future, all of the things. Yeah. Life insurance, all of the things. Yeah. Life insurance is not only for life, but also after you pass away. Yeah. So the sooner that you get it, the earlier that you get life insurance, the cheaper it is. The later you get it, the more expensive. So get it while you're young. I know it's kind of morbid to talk about life insurance, but it's a part of that financial plan. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with things like 401k, I cannot, and I know some people, are indifferent about 401k, but whether it's 401k, whether it's a CD, whatever, figure out some way to start saving little by little from the beginning. I promise you. I wish, and I used to think like, man, we ain't got enough money to be doing that. But just a little, even if you have to start at 1%, 3%, start small, because I'm telling you, by the time you need it, by the time it starts talking about college, bigger bills, paying off stuff, because now you're ready to settle down, stop working, work less or whatever, then you'll be better off if you start off from the beginning and start small. Yeah. And I just want to mention too, when Adrian, when you were talking about being transparent and talking about it, I do want to tell y'all and acknowledge the fact that I know you could feel like you're being vulnerable talking about money. Yes. Because some people are like, it's like a touchy-feely thing. Some people don't want to talk about it. Some people might feel embarrassed about it because they don't want to be transparent about their struggle or the debt they already have, or or it just wasn't talked about in their house. Or maybe every time they heard it talked about, it was an argument. Or, whatever the case. So it does require a level of vulnerability. Yeah. I just have to be honest about that. But it's really about making sure that you realize, one, that you're checking yourself, your heart, your ego, looking at your motives, and being open to this person that you've decided to spend your life with. Yeah. And like, this is bigger than me. This is bigger than my feelings. I want us to be on the same page. I don't want to be arguing about money, because at the end of the day, it's too many other things that happens with children, with jobs, with feelings, with life, with change of life, with midlife crisis, it's all kind of stuff. Money should not be as hard as it is, and it don't have to be.
It really doesn't.
But it is. So check your feelings at the door. Yeah. Check your ego. Talk about things, be vulnerable, and don't come hard at each other about it. My husband, when I started talking to him about budgeting a while back, I was like, the last thing I want you to feel like is like I'm trying to be your mama. Right. Because I'm not. Right. I'm not. I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to run anything or be your mama. I'm trying to make sure we're in a good place. And I'm putting this here before you, saying, here, honey, I think we should do this. Right. Right. I want us not to live paycheck to paycheck. I want us to be able to take a trip if we want to. Right. I want us to make sure that if we need to get some more groceries, we have some money, right. And you just have to present it in a loving way, right. Explaining your motive, what you're trying to do, and let them see where you're coming from. Yeah. Not going off on them because they overspent, or because
because there'll be a time or two where it's like, dang, I mean, I didn't want you to do that, but I mean, it's a lesson learned for next time. But there will be times that we're not trying to spank our spouses for spending too much. But I mean, that's where those discussions come in.
Yeah. So give space and grace to one another, but also be accountable.
Yeah.
You know, if you know it's been times where I'm like, honey, you low over budget. I only planned on you spending blah, 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 blah. So now I got to figure out blah, 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 blah. So can you please let up on blah, 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 you know? So it's all about how you say it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to forgive each other over and over again. It's just a matter of having a conversation, having it in the right way, the right tone, whatever. Yeah. And it's work. No matter how you look at it, marriage is work.
Right,
it's
really
full of conversations.
Yeah.
It's full of love. It's full of grace.
It's full of choice.
Full of choice.
Every day.
Full of choice. To end on a good note, once you come up with all these ideas on what's going to work for you and y'all's household, find ways to celebrate the wins, appreciate one another for the efforts they are making, because you'll know better than anybody else that this person, they wasn't coming in at first with this structure. Right. They didn't know how to budget. It was hard for them to be able to save or whatever. So, honey, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate you. I know this was hard, and I know it was this and that, and I appreciate you for being willing and staying on budget. Thanks for, even if you got to do it every week. Right. Thanks for staying on budget this week, honey. Right. I appreciate it. I know you wanted to go out to eat every day. Right. But I appreciate your efforts. Trust me, it's for a good thing, because, hey, we want to work on our next trip or whatever the case, and just look for the positive things. Look for that's another thing. I had another conversation with somebody else. Look, even if you do have to say something about something, acknowledge something good first. Yeah. But like, honey, I got to talk to you about something. But before I say that, can I just say that I really appreciate your efforts, that you've been doing a great job. You know, so far we got such and such saved. Did you know that? So when we take that trip in, July, whatever, we should be good. We only got this much more, but I do need a favor, though. I do need you to cut back on the cigarettes. That's good. Can you do that for me? Because I want to make sure you know what I mean? Yeah. It's positive reinforcement. It is. Because in the end, after you've done all the saving, the planning, the budgeting, the paying off debt, you got a trip to look forward to, or whatever it is that you all worked so hard to save up for. Man, you looking at me like, dang, I'm glad I did that. But yes, once you've done all the saving and you get to finally experience that thing that you've saved so much for, it is a sense of accomplishment. Just, feeling like, man, I really hit that goal that I set for myself, doing this, and it's an incentive for you to do it again. And do it again and continue to do it. And it releases that little dopamine in your brains. And it'll actually help bring you guys closer together. Like, we can do this. Yeah. We're doing it. We can do this. Yeah. So we are going to go ahead and wrap things up right here. We do thank you all for joining us on this week's Marriage Chats. Yes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and join. Please do. Yes, go ahead and join the discussion. And let us know some other tips. If it was something that you think that we should have added, go ahead and add it, baby. Please do. Because we are a community and we're trying to help everybody. So go ahead and drop those things. Also follow us on our socials, Facebook and Instagram. And that's all I have. So next week, we're going to be talking about, should date nights be mandatory? But y'all, before we go ahead and remember, a good thing is not hard to find, but it takes work to keep it. So until next week, we will see you all soon. Be blessed. See y'all next week. Bye.